Tonight, what we are learning about the new high-stakes Canada-U.S. tariff talks. Who's going, when and where they'll take place, and which alliances the Prime Minister is strengthening abroad.
To do that right, to do that properly, we need the best partners.
Fierce international condemnation over a deadly double strike on southern Gaza's only functioning hospital. What Israel is saying and Canada's reaction. And the high-powered calls to save BC's doomed birds.
Why would we throw away this unique wisdom?
Why two prominent Americans are joining the fight.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. Canada is carrying out its economic battle plan on two fronts tonight, one overseas and the other closer to home. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will head to Washington tomorrow for a meeting with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick this week, after Ottawa announced it would lift some retaliatory tariffs. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, is in Germany tonight to boost trade and defense ties with Europe's largest economy. But the continent's fastest growing economy, Poland, was Mark Carney's previous stop. CTV's Abigail Beeman starts us off with the deals he struck there.
The maple leafs on your shoulders, they feel hope.
Prime Minister Mark Carney stressed to Canadian troops in Warsaw and European leaders, Canada is ready to spend big on defense.
We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
Not only promising to meet NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by this year, but the new target of 5% by 2030.
We have your backs. We're serious about this.
Carney bringing his defense minister along to many European meetings, including the trip to Ukraine, which marks a shift from the past.
I think what it indicates is that the landscape has changed. I think Canadians know that the landscape has changed, that the geopolitics are changing, that the threat landscape has changed.
David McGuinty says Canada's defense plan needs diversification.
We're not only making a diplomatic visit, but we're really interested in diversifying our alliances and our defense investments, and having Minister McGuinty there puts an exclamation point behind that.
Diversification. We've heard that word a lot from the Prime Minister about trade, too, given the trade war with the United States.
Poland needs reliable partners.
Poland has the fastest growing economy in the EU, and the two leaders recommitted to an agreement signed last year, but now focusing on trade, energy, and defense.
Our trade relationship last year grew by something like 22% in a single year. So the appetite is really there. It also means that people are kind of knocking on our door more.
From Warsaw, the Prime Minister flew here to Berlin, where he will continue to talk trade and defense. Tuesday, visiting a shipyard of a German submarine manufacturer interested in a bid to build them for Canada's Navy. Omar?
All right, CTV's Abigail Beeman in Berlin tonight. Abigail, thank you. Canada says it is, quote, horrified by two Israeli strikes at a Gaza hospital that killed at least 20 people, including 5 journalists, calling such attacks unacceptable. Minutes after the first strike at southern Gaza's only functioning hospital, and with journalists and first responders on the scene, a second blast at the same spot. Here's that moment from inside Nasser Hospital. The facility, a lifeline for local journalists who use it to access Wi-Fi and share their stories with the world. Israel, except for rare guided tours, has blocked international media from Gaza. Among the dead, Hussam al-Masri with Reuters, AP photographer Mariam Abu Daqqa, Al Jazeera's Mohammed Salama, and freelancers Moiz Abu Taha and Ahmed Abu Aziz. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu writing that Israel, quote, regrets the tragic mishap and that military authorities are conducting a thorough investigation. Since the war began, the Committee to Protect Journalists says 192 journalists have been killed in Gaza. Donald Trump is suggesting he'll deploy more troops to more American cities, extending his controversial crackdown in the U.S. Capitol. CTV's Michael Couture on the backlash and which major urban centers could be next.
Next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago is a killing field.
The U.S. president taking aim at one of the country's biggest cities, claiming the crime rate is out of control. 2 weeks after deploying the National Guard to Washington, troops were seen overnight carrying guns in the Capitol. And Donald Trump is threatening to send the military to Chicago.
The governor of Illinois should say, President, would you do us the honor of cleaning up our city? We need help. They need help.
Governor J.B. Pritzker says they don't, pointing to Chicago police stats, saying crime has dropped in the last 12 months. Murders were down 31% over the same period last year. Shootings have dropped by 36%, and vehicle thefts were down 26%.
What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is un-American.
The Washington Post reports a mission to Chicago would have parallels to the deployment to Los Angeles in June. 2 months ago, 4,000 members of the National Guard and 700 active duty Marines descended on LA following a series of protests against U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. And some Chicago residents welcome the move.
It needs to happen. It's no law and order.
I mean, if you got the National Guard right there, are you going to rob somebody right there in front of the National Guards? No, you're not.
Democratic lawmakers are pushing back, calling Trump's move an authoritarian power grab.
I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person.
Now, Trump claims his plan has worked so well in Washington, he's considering using troops to tackle crime in Baltimore and even New York City. Omar.
All right, Mike, thank you. Rapper and singer Lil Nas X pleaded not guilty today to new felony charges filed after his arrest last week. He appeared before a judge this morning after spending the weekend in jail. Police say they responded to reports of a naked man walking down the street in L.A. when he allegedly charged at the officers. Authorities say he was also taken to hospital for a possible overdose. He's facing 3 counts of battery against a police officer and 1 count of resisting. The family of a Norwegian hiker found dead in northern Manitoba is now traveling to Canada to bring his remains home. The body of Stefan Shatelvik was discovered during a ground search yesterday. The 29-year-old went missing during a hike that began last month in northern Ontario. He was due to arrive in York Factory, Manitoba on August 15th, but never showed up. The fight to save hundreds of ostriches in British Columbia is getting a renewed boost from 2 high-profile Americans who insist the animals should be carefully studied, not culled. CTV's Andrew Johnson on the pitch.
These ostriches are getting some high-profile help from the man once trusted by millions for easy-to-understand medical advice.
We have an incredible opportunity to advance science, something that just was handed to us. These birds are able to withstand this potentially devastating H5N1 avian flu virus. And why would we throw away this unique wisdom?
Dr. Mehmet Oz previously offered to relocate the birds to his Florida ranch. Another supporter, New York billionaire John Katsimatidis, is calling for common sense to prevail.
You know, the problem is common sense is not all that common. These are ancient, iconic birds. And now, I mean, they deserve to survive.
The ostrich cull was originally ordered last December when birds at the Universal Ostrich Farm in the BC interior tested positive for avian flu. A few dozen of the birds died, close to 400 survived, and the farm has been fighting ever since to save those survivors they insist are safe.
We have had no illness and no deaths on our farms for 223 days. They are thriving. Our herd of ostriches is a living vault of immunity.
Oz, who is now responsible for U.S. Medicare, says the surviving birds are now resistant to avian flu and their antibodies should be studied for the good of other animals and humans.
We have an opportunity to do something helpful for Canada, for the United States, and the global community in general.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has maintained even though the ostriches appear healthy, they could still spread the virus. And if they're not killed, the virus could mutate and become more infectious to mammals, including humans. As it stands now, after the farm lost its federal appeal last week, the CFIA can move in at any time and destroy the herd. There is no word on when that could happen. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is planning to ban scientific research and testing on dogs and cats.
Legislation will be pretty short and simple. You aren't going to use pets, dogs or cats, to experiment on any longer. Simple as that. We just don't do that. It's cruel and it's unacceptable.
Ford made the announcement during an event in London, Ontario, where it was recently revealed that canine research was being done at 2 medical institutions. Further west, BC's wildfire service is warning hot and dry weather across the province is increasing the fire risk. Several regions in Western Canada under heat warnings tonight. CTV's Kathy Lee on how long the sizzling temperatures will last.
Basking in the final glow of summer, sunshine and warmth this week in Calgary, a big welcome.
I'm super excited. It's nice to have finally some summer weather.
It's lovely. Kind of stretch out the summer as much as you can before it gets kind of cooler.
The cooler weather will just have to wait. Environment Canada has put most of Alberta under a special weather statement.
We're going to see daytime highs in the low to, high 20s to low 30s.
Thanks to elevated overnight lows, Edmonton, the only place in the province, qualifies for a heat warning, as does multiple regions in BC, the northern interior, some places on the coast, and the south, experiencing scorching temperatures.
For areas of Fraser Canyon and South Thompson, anywhere from 37 to 39 degree highs.
Even for areas without warnings in place, experts say high and prolonged temperatures in both provinces can increase the risk for heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
Your body will tell you if there's anything going on. Dizzy, lightheadedness, to feeling quite fatigued or weak.
Many in Calgary doing the best they can to stay cool and safe.
Lots of sunscreen, heat protection, hats. Hydrate, sunscreen,
just hunker down. I've got lots of inside stuff to get done.
And the hot weather, not just a potential health risk, but can increase wildfire risk too.
Check if there's a fire ban before you go. If you do have a campfire, really needs to be extinguished.
Environment and Climate Change Canada says the hot temperatures are expected to stick around all week. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Cooler temperatures in Nova Scotia are providing little relief from an out-of-control wildfire officials are now confirming has destroyed a number of homes.
The Long Lake fire in Annapolis County took a real turn over the weekend, and it's had devastating impacts. There has been some loss of homes.
The exact number has not been confirmed yet. No homes have been damaged by fires in New Brunswick, where the province is removing more restrictions but leaving the province-wide burn ban in place. Overseas, a terrifying moment in France when a helicopter crashed while fighting wildfires there. The helicopter was trying to scoop water to battle a fire nearby when it started to spin out of control. The pilot, another man on board, and a witness were all taken to a local hospital. And a lot of cheers, but a surprising scene in the middle of the road in a small town in England as this hot air balloon made a perfect emergency landing, with bystanders guiding it away from cars, power lines, and houses. Attention e-scooter riders. Police in Toronto are cracking down as health officials warn of the rising number of injuries across the country. CTV's Adrian Gobriel now on why parents and pedestrians should pay attention too.
The signage posted in Ontario's capital are clear, though it doesn't appear that many, if any, are taking notice. E-scooters aren't technically allowed on the streets of Toronto, though it's become a popular member of the micro-mobility vehicle family. And safety concerns have led to police in this city to launch a weeks-long enforcement campaign on all electrified two-wheel vehicles.
Going up on the sidewalk, down on the road, down the wrong way, down a one-way, not wearing helmets.
The Canadian Institute for Health Information says e-scooter injuries have risen from 375 in 2022-2023 to 498 in 2023-2024, with the number of children hospitalized increasing by 61% over that time period.
Head injuries, which means lacerations, bad cuts of the head, broken smashed skulls, so with up to a bleed in the brain, broken facial bones, and then all the way down the body.
Emergency room physicians tell CTV News far too many injuries stem from riders not wearing a helmet. Those being hurt include pedestrians.
I have seen them as patients, and I have a friend who's been struck twice.
In Ontario, you must be 16 years old to ride an e-scooter. though there's a patchwork of bylaws across the country. One example, in Toronto, they're supposed to be outlawed. In neighboring Brampton, Ontario, a pilot program has taken to the streets.
There's different information from province to province, and then within that from municipality to municipality. And these are the types of things that can cause a lot of confusion, but also put people in harm's way, because how do we follow consistent laws? And how do other road users know what to expect?
Here in Canada's largest city, those caught violating the Highway Traffic Act, like the individual who just passed us on an electric moped in the bike lane, could face a fine of up to $350. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Coming up.
Someone told me today that this project was going to put St. Lawrence on the map. I said, we're not worried about the map.
Why a small Newfoundland town has entered the commercial space race. Plus, we might not want to talk about it, but it's coming. A look at what winter could look like across Canada after the break. The countdown is on in the small town of St. Lawrence, Newfoundland and Labrador, where a Canadian aerospace company is hoping to make history and launch its first rocket test flight. CTV's Garrett Barry tells us why.
The Taiga rocket is upright and ready. Northspace CEO Rahul Goel says his team is eager to launch just as soon as these winds die down. It's a reality of life here in the North Atlantic. Nevertheless, Northspace has picked this town, population 1,200, to host its Atlantic Spaceport complex.
Someone told me today that this project was going to put St. Lawrence on the map. I said, we're not worried about the map, we're going into space.
The company says it'll spend $10 million in the first phase of development for this location. It gives it access to the most orbit options. Think of those like highway lanes for spacecraft. And here, on the edge of the Atlantic, it's easy to launch east over the water and use the Earth's rotation to build up your speed. Wednesday's event, weather permitting, is set to be a suborbital launch, a demonstration really, but the company says it's an important step towards building an all-in-Canada space industry.
We have another big mission coming up that we haven't announced yet, but it's going to be our biggest one yet, and it's going to be quite deep into space, so it's going to be exciting.
Northspace hopes to be the first company to offer an all-in-Canada solution for launching commercial satellites into space. It has some competition.
Reaction Dynamics has raised millions from the Quebec government and private investors for its entry into this Canadian space race.
You can't look away from this sort of socio-political context of what's happening in the world, the big shift in foreign policy that's happened in the United States. And so there's an appetite now to invest in Canadian companies.
When Taiga does go up, it won't be up for long, less than a minute. But Northspace hopes it'll soar up to 30,000 feet in that time and turn a lot of heads. Garrett Barry, CTV News, St. John's.
And even though we're all enjoying the last few weeks of summer, just in case you're wondering what's in store for winter across Canada, here's what the Old Farmer's Almanac is saying.
Overall, we're calling for almost everywhere in Canada to be a bit milder this winter than normal.
So for most of us, no need to worry about braving a brutal winter. The northern regions can expect a snowy and warmer season, and that includes the Maritimes. More precipitation is predicted for much of the south, but southern Ontario is the outlier with colder and drier conditions expected. And good thing we've still got a lot of time. Still ahead, where some lucky diners got this West Coast welcome. A legendary on-screen friendship reunited by taking in a Vancouver Canadians minor league baseball game.
Hey, so we
Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck, who famously teamed up as best friends in the 1986 classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off, were spotted at the ball game this weekend. Instead of heckling batters, the duo led the crowd in taking me out to the ball game. The two are in Vancouver teaming up once again, shooting a new movie titled The Best Is Yet to Come. A BC whale watching company didn't have to hit the water to see this killer whale in action. A staff member was able to capture this orca trying to get some air only 1.5 meters from the dock in Victoria's Inner Harbor. People dining at the restaurant next door also got a spectacular show.
Two-time U.S. Open champion, Venus Williams.
The tennis legend made her much anticipated return to the court. At 45, she's the oldest singles player in tournament history since 1981. But unfortunately, she lost the match and was eliminated. Still ahead, why all eyes are on amazing Canadian female athletes this summer. It has been an incredible year for Canadian women in sport. From the pool to the pitch and the tennis court to the golf course, female stars are shining and inspiring the next generation. Here's CTV's John Venevali-Rao.
For Brooke Henderson, it was a moment to embrace after a masterful performance on home soil. The pride of Smith Falls, Ontario, back on top and showing once more why she's Canada's most successful golfer ever.
Like, super excited that this actually happened. It's like a dream come true again.
The win marking her 14th on the LPGA Tour and ending a 2-year drought. She first won the Canadian Women's Open in 2018, and to do it again at age 27 is remarkable.
You can't help but reflect on how, the young up-and-coming talent has been inspired by Brooke's accomplishments.
Look at McIntosh go! That accomplishment follows others by women athletes this year.
Isn't she amazing?
Including Toronto's Summer McIntosh, who made a splash in Singapore, claiming 4 gold medals at the World Aquatics Championship. Last month, Olivia Smith from Whitby, Ontario, became the most expensive player in women's soccer history, transferred from Liverpool to England's Arsenal for $1.8 million Canadian. And then there's Victoria Mboko, also 18, who weeks ago stunned the tennis world, winning at the Canadian Open in Montreal, though today fell short of expectations as she appeared at the U.S. Open for the first time, dominated by her Czech opponent, a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Still, for Canadian women in sport, it's been an incredible and inspirational run.
What we can speak to is hoping that this is going to change participation rates for girls in sport in the future. If they can see it, they can be it, and they can be the next Brooke, Victoria, or Summer.
As for Brooke Henderson, she kept saying her latest victory seems surreal, calling it a huge win for Canada and Canadian golf. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Incredible talent, all making this country proud. That's a snapshot of this Monday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow.